It's time for QB1 with Crissy, Froyd, Russell Wilson, the quarterback of the day here on QB1. Crissy, and man, what an offseason for him and what an offseason for Seattle as the entire league was seemingly juggled around in the free agency period. And now he starts this new era in Denver. When you look back and kind of interpret how everything went down between Russell Wilson and Seattle and some of the comments that he made before ultimately landing in Denver, what are some of your takeaways for why he ultimately ended up as a Bronco?
Yeah, I think when we look at the comments, the tweet comes to mind. It was a Twitter post from Wilson where he said that he was used to the doubt, but also used to the work. So you get the sense that he does feel kind of some type of way about the way that things went down in Seattle. And then also just what some of the analysts have been saying about him. I mean, there's some people out there that are like, Russell Wilson can't fix your team. He's not going to be able to elevate them to the proper level. He's one of those quarterbacks that kind of comes into the elite conversation, but some people have questions. So I think that he landed in a good situation. And I think that I wouldn't say he has a chip on his shoulder because this is a quarterback that's so accomplished he doesn't need to. But I do think that he has kind of the feeling of wanting to prove some people wrong, including some of the people that have made comments about him and then perhaps some of the people in Seattle as well.
Yeah, he does seem to, from afar, thrive on that bulletin board material and loves to be kind of operating under the precipice of being an underdog, even though recent history would indicate that he's not an underdog at all, like you said, which is this kind of funny dynamic. I'm not sure if it's his size, his stature, the way that he fits in today's modern NFL, but he has that way about him. How does he fit as a quarterback overall? You mentioned that he is in some circles regarded as elite. He's very polarizing and that some people think that he's not. Where does he fit in the modern day NFL?
I think he fits well because what we're seeing right now in the modern era of the NFL is so we went from kind of this trend with Cam Newton, Colin Kaepernick, Tim Tebow, some other guys that they wanted this super athletic quarterback, a quarterback that could do a lot of things. But what comes with that territory is you get a lot of guys who just don't quite cut it as a passer. And so there's a saying that goes around that there are quarterbacks who can run and there's running quarterbacks. And running quarterbacks kind of fall into the former category that I just mentioned. But you want a quarterback who is a polished passer who can also make plays for you on the ground, can do the design quarterback runs, can evade pressure well. And I think that Russell Wilson does that well. It's been several seasons that he's maintained a completion rate of 60% or higher, which is exactly where you want it to be. I think there have been some seasons where the touchdown interception ratio could be a little bit improved, but that has not been an issue as of late. And so I think that he fits the modern era and the way that we're trending to that type of quarterback very well.
And with his new pieces, his new team in Denver, I mean, is there any indication that he won't be able to continue to hit that completion percentage now that he's in a completely new environment, under a new head coach? What do you expect from him in a Broncos uniform?
Yeah, I think that he instantly elevates the team because obviously a situation that a quarterback goes into is going to affect them. The supporting cast, things like that's going to have an effect on their game. But then you have quarterbacks that are so good that they're still going to kind of have to deal with that a little bit, but they can instantly bring a team to a new level. And I think he brings that type of consistency to Denver. And so I think that he enters a pretty decent situation with the offensive coordinator that he has that worked with Aaron Rodgers. They had a great deal of success there. I think that goes without saying when we think about just how successful Aaron Rodgers has been. And then you think about the names he has in his supporting cast, which are very promising, like Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler, and then the new addition who is Montrell Washington. And so I think he's set up well. And I think that the outlook for Denver is optimistic on offense.
On the QB1 that we did involving Drew Lock, I think you said something really kind of poignant, which is that Broncos fans have been quarterback starved for years and years and years. I mean, dating back to, of course, the dreamy days with John Elway. But now, the last couple of seasons have just been really rough. I mean, how ready is the fan base for Russell Wilson? And when you look at the long term here and his projected outlook, we've got all these really fun, exciting new young quarterbacks coming into the NFL that have kind of diverted our attention away from the Russell Wilsons of the world. But he's still pretty good. I mean, what's the long term outlook for Russell Wilson in Denver?
Yeah, I think that whenever Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos part ways, it is going to be on Russell Wilson's terms. Like I said earlier, he's a quarterback that many people consider to be elite. And I think there are more analysts that have not said that, but they're kind of teetering on the edge. They want to see what he does in Denver. But I think that he's set up in a good position. I think that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And I think he only continues that ascension just in a league that's so starved of good quarterback play seemingly consistently.
Why do you think it is that some of these analysts are so hesitant to go ahead and just add him into the upper echelon of quarterbacks? I mean, hasn't he done enough on the field to prove that he's worthy of that kind of consideration?
Yeah, I think that he has. I think that a lot of it has to do with what have you done for me lately? How long ago was it that Russell Wilson took a team on a deep postseason run? How many Super Bowl appearances do you make? How many Super Bowls do you win? How many championship games do you make it to? How do you perform in those games? And so I think that really what it comes down to is being a winner at the biggest stage. And I think that there are some people that maybe just want to see a little bit more of that, and then are questioning how much of that he can do with a change of scenery.
And specifically, Crissy, just last one for you. You mentioned some of the pieces that the Broncos have in place. I mean, is there anything else specifically offensively that you feel really favors Russell Westbrook's style, really suits him in terms of what Denver's going to try to do strategically next season?
Yeah, I think that they're committed to building around him as they should be. And I think they're committed to morphing the offense, which has already been successful under this offensive coordinator. But I think that they're going to continue to play it to his strengths and tweak it as needed. And so I think just having that support and having that system is going to take him a long way, even though he can already really take himself a long way.